This final installment of my Chance of Sussex vlog was originally filmed in September 2019. I have finally gotten around to editing it. Better late than never, right?
Hello everyone, I'm Stephen Shinder and this is Chance of Sussex, my vlog about the study abroad experience I had in England a couple years ago. Right now as I'm recording this, it is September 13th, the second anniversary actually of when I landed in England. And it's Friday the 13th, so hence the weird intro, yeah. So, for those who might not be familiar, I've been making this study abroad vlog. I started it when I was actually over in England during fall semester 2017. And I promised to cover the whole trip, and videos just kept coming out very sporadically as I got busy with lots of things. The last video came out several months ago. I've just been busy with various things. One of them actually is this novel that I self-published a few months ago. It's called Standalones and Stepping Stones, Lemons Loom Like Rain. It is my fantasy horror comedy novel, which is available on Amazon, and you can find more info about it at stephenshinder.com. I think I'll also show you the cover art for the next book I've been working on. So yeah, I've been busy with lots of things, but this is still something that I've been wanting to finish. Rather than go over just 1 week of that study abroad trip within this video, I'm going to try to cover the remaining weeks. So there's going to be a lot packed into this. Not sure how many sittings this will take, but I always want to finish what I started, you know? So first off, this episode is brought to you by my aunt, Ophelia Bueno. She works at Playetas Express, and you can go over to 240 Woodlawn Avenue, Unit 6 in Chula Vista, California if you want any screen printing or embroidery done for t-shirts. Okay, so toward the end of October 2017, a few of us who were staying at the Imperial Hotel in Hove went to this trip to Arundel Castle. We took a train there, and I always associate castles with Monty Python and the Holy Grail. It's just how I grew up. So I had fun exploring this place and seeing the gardens, and I think the section was called Covent Garden. And we also went on a hike in the surrounding lands after that. Like, a few of us went on a hike, and the land was very lush. There was great scenery, and it was very peaceful, very introspective time for all of us. Like, we were all really glad to be out there. So later, on October 30th, I received feedback on a short story I wrote for this Art of Short Fiction module. And we were supposed to write this story based on a prompt, which was like, what if you or someone woke up with like a new skin, so kind of like a new identity. So the character in this story, I called it Cliff's Hanger. Yes, it is a punny title. And it has a character who uses a bath bomb, and then it transforms his skin, and the skin kind of takes control of him. And this is actually a story that I felt was kind of rushed when I wrote it, but when I shared it with my classmates, they said that they really liked it, which it kind of surprised me because of how rushed it is. And oh, I'm wearing a Rush t-shirt, so that's very fitting. Yeah, yesterday was actually Neil Peart's birthday. That's a short story that I'm actually incorporating into my next novel. It's gonna be like the opening chapter. And the title, you should be seeing it on the video right now, it's called standalones and stepping stones, trespassing through the visages. There's a cover art right there. Hopefully it looks nice. And there will be one character from Lemons Will Like Rain who will carry over into that, but for the most part, it's new set of characters and some new settings, and it's got more sci-fi in it, so it'll open up a bit more of this world that I have in my head. So yeah, just keep an eye out for that. Yeah, right now I'm still a ways away from finishing that particular book, but it's in the works. So, also on October 30th, I believe is when I met up with Sci-Fi and Horror Society, and we watched John Carpenter's remake of The Thing. And I'd seen it before, and this is a movie that I really love. You really feel the sense of paranoia, and it's very suspenseful, it's very isolated. It's truly a work of art. I highly suggest watching that if you haven't. On Halloween itself, it's weird because like here in the States, many people dress up in costumes like at school, but over at University of Sussex, there weren't many people in costumes, which is, I don't know, I guess that was kind of a culture shock moment. I don't know, it's just a weird thing to get used to. And there was also this Animates meeting. There was this club on campus called Animates. They met up to watch animated movies at each meeting. And I had heard of them at the involvement fair, I guess you would call it, at the beginning of that semester. Like, I'd seen their table, I got their info, but because of like other things that were going on those days, I think there was another club or two meeting at the same time. I hadn't gone to any of their meetings until this particular day, and you know, being who I am, I ended up like juggling between clubs based on like what was going on. So I decided to go to this time that they met, and funny enough, my first Animates meeting, they didn't actually show an animated movie, but rather a live-action movie inspired by animation. This was the Scooby-Doo movie from 2002. I remember seeing that in the theater, and not really realizing at the time how adult some of the jokes was. It's kind of ridiculous. But yeah, apparently over there, it's titled Scooby-Doo Spooky Island. It was pretty funny. One of the other people in the club was like quoting the movie as it was playing. So that was fun. And when I got back to the hotel, there was like a party. It was part Halloween, part birthday party for our friend Karen, whose birthday falls on Halloween. I had this Jason mask. I got it from somewhere on campus. Like, some students were selling Halloween masks, and I got that. I also went to a store and got an off-brand Freddy Krueger glove and fake chainsaw, and sort of this mishmash of slasher flicks, I guess. I actually got this particular mask signed by Derek Mears, who played Jason in the 2009 Friday the 13th film. I got it signed by him at the Coup de Comedy Festival at UC Irvine last year, in 2018. So it was very cool of him to do that. I also really enjoyed his performance as Swamp Thing recently. You should check that out if you haven't. So yeah, Halloween came and went. Let's see, kept on meeting with some of the other clubs I was meeting with. Doc Sock, always playing Doctor Who episodes. In early November, they played a second Doctor serial called The Mind Robber, which is probably my favorite second Doctor serial. And then, like, the next day, Odd Sock played another time travel related thing, Back to the Future Part 2. We'd watched the first one, like, a month prior or something like that. You could look at the other videos and it'll say, probably. So yeah, it was fun watching those, hearing people's reactions, and enjoying ourselves. There was also a day when I saw a seagull snatch a sandwich out of someone's hands. It was so bizarre, but yeah, seagulls will do that. I've noticed that over in England, the pigeons in particular are not as scared of being up close to humans as they seem to be here in the States. And I think part of that might, like, this is my speculation, that maybe it's because Americans might be louder in general. That was sort of something that someone opened my eyes to, so the other Americans' eyes too, how like we're really loud compared to everyone else in like the dining room. So I don't know, that's speculation. But anyway, November 6th was gonna be my birthday. It's always my birthday, but that was coming up, and as I was scrolling through Facebook for nearby events, like one of the recommendations was a Rick Wakeman piano concert that was going on November 5th. The name of the place escapes me at the moment, but the text will be here. So yeah, that was a last minute thing, and I just decided to buy a ticket and go to there on a whim because like it's Rick Wakeman, one of Yes's past keyboardists, and he's like really talented. So I went to that and he played really well. He told some jokes in between, even did a John Anderson impression. At one point he was talking about how John was asked like what Siberian Kachru was, and in his own John impression he was like, I don't know. He did better than I did just there, but yeah, it was hilarious. And as a surprise, he was actually signing stuff after the concert, and I totally did not expect that. So I got to like go up, get stuff signed, and meet him and talk to him. I asked him about certain Yes-related things, and it was really great. He was really nice. And then I took the train back to the hotel, and yeah, I took the train to this town and then back to the hotel, came back late at night, all by myself, and it was really, really worth it. I'm really glad I took that chance to like go to that concert. That Rick Wakeman concert was the night before my birthday, but on my actual birthday, I wrote a short story and got some really good feedback in that Art of Short Fiction module. I think it might have been Uncovered by Silence, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I can't really say much about it right now, so I don't even know why I'm mentioning it, but it was very nice getting feedback in that class. I'm really glad I took that class so that it could improve me as a writer, along with other creative writing classes I've taken over the years. Later that day, met with Sci-Fi and Horror Society, and we voted on what we wanted to see, and it came down to 3 choices, which were Saw, Oldboy, and Get Out. On the initial round, I voted for Saw, but then like those 3 were like the 3 that were narrowed down, and I ended up in a situation where I was the tiebreaker, so I thought that was pretty funny given that it was my birthday. And as much of a Saw fan as I was, I decided to go ahead and choose Get Out since I had never seen it, and lots of people would probably love it, and I was not disappointed with the movie. It was kind of surprising how much of a comedy it was, but I guess not so surprising because Jordan Peele worked on it. But it was also really suspenseful as well, so it was a good blend of horror and comedy, and I highly recommend Get Out if you haven't seen it and you're into that sort of stuff. November 8th, I went to the Harry Potter studio tour in London. Bought a time turner there at the shop, and it was really cool seeing like all these sets, these animatronics and models and such, all these different things that are related to Harry Potter and have been like used in the films. And I also had a butterbeer flavored ice cream. So it was a really fun experience. I remember spending quite a bit to get there and kind of being upset with myself at how much I spent, but it's so long ago now that I'm not even upset about that. And it's like the stuff I saw and took photos of, I took lots of photos, really are the positive aspects, and they stick out more than the negative to me at this point in time. So it goes to show that time enhances memories, for better or for worse. I guess it could be a case-by-case basis on certain things. And later that night, it was kind of a strange day, and I decided to watch the movie Jigsaw, which is the 8th Saw film, and I've never walked out of a movie in the theater, but there was a moment where I was tempted. I won't spoil anything, but there was a moment that felt like it was really pushing it with the suspension of disbelief, but then by the end it like turned it around and made more sense, and it won me over. So I was glad to see Jigsaw in the theater that night. On November 10th, I went to the British Museum in London and saw some William Blake prints with my classmates from this William Blake module. I'm kind of fascinated by William Blake, if only because John Anderson, known for singing with the Ice, he sang on a song version of Blake's poems Spring, and it appeared on Alan White's little album Ramshackled. And I also like the great Red Dragon paintings that Blake did, and those are associated with those kind of inspired the Red Dragon novel by Thomas Harris, which I really love. So during that semester, I learned more about Blake, read more of his poetry, saw more of his images, and it was cool seeing these prints here. They wouldn't let us take photos, but they looked really cool. The next, I think this was the next week, was a more musical week, because I went to see Wicked in London. And I had read the Wicked novel a few years prior, and there were parts of it that I didn't really like. They didn't feel... It felt like a downer, but like the musical was very cathartic, and there was a moment that made me cry toward the end. It was just such a wonderful performance, and it was, I don't know, it was just so magical. I don't know how else to describe it. The next day, I went to Animates, and this time we actually did watch an animated movie. It was called Ice Age. I actually watched this in the theater as a kid, and I think it's pretty funny. It's still entertaining, so it's great to see it again. And I think afterward we went ice skating at the Royal Pavilion, and they had Disney music playing, like songs from various Disney movies. I think there was stuff from Frozen, Tangled, some of the animated stuff from the 90s, I want to say, maybe Little Mermaid as well. I don't know, it was a long time ago, but you know Disney music. Like, Disney music is Disney music. I don't know what else to say, but it was fun ice skating with my friends from Animates and talking to each other, getting to know each other. It was pretty chill. I did not intend that pun initially, but now fully intended. And then the next day, I went to London, and this was to see The Lion King. But to kill time beforehand, some of us went exploring through London. I went to Chinatown and got this sliced duck with lemon. It was really good. And when I got out, I actually bumped into the statue-looking guy that I saw at Roman Bath the previous month. And it was so funny, like, bumping into him again and getting to, like, take a pic with him again. Wandered through this part of London where there was, like, this huge disco ball thing. And I thought that there was a recording of With or Without You by YouTube playing, but it turned out that it was this cover version by a guy named Rob Falsini. And he played it really well. London was very festive. There was lots of Christmas decoration. It was just so great to see. So after exploring, it was time to see The Lion King. There were moments in the performance where it felt kind of goofy, like some things didn't translate quite as well. Like the depiction of Scar was kind of hammy, not like how it is in the film, but kind of goofier in some instances, so like not as threatening. But the moment after like that stampede in the gorge, where it gets really emotional, like I teared up during that point, so it was like that was the moment that mattered the most to me, and it got me emotional, so did a really good job in that regard. Overall, I did enjoy their performance. It's funny how years ago I wanted to go to New York and see musicals like Wicked and The Lion King, and now that I've seen them in London, it's like, well, what more do I need to do in New York now if I ever go? I'm sure there's cool stuff in New York, but it was just really cool being able to see this stuff in a way that I didn't expect. A couple days later, one of the clubs I met up with on campus was Board Game Society, but I took a break on the day of all their meetings so that I could go to Harry Potter Society's board game meeting. It was fun. Got to get to know each other a bit more. What's funny is that in the short fiction module, we talked about fan fiction, and we were given a list of 5 Harry Potter fanfic stories that are held in high regard. One of them is called A Call to Arms, and it's Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows from the point of view of Neville, Luna, and Ginny, like while they're at Hogwarts. I read the first few chapters, and it's really well written. I haven't had the chance to finish it because of like how busy the trip was, but I'm hoping to finish it someday, like get back to that. Let's see. Oh, Thanksgiving was coming up, so UC EAP hosted this Thanksgiving celebration in Plaisters Hall in London. Maybe it's pronounced Plasters Hall, I don't know. But that was a lot of fun. Did some of that K-Lead dancing like I did during the Scotland trip. Food was great, and it was great seeing friends that I'd seen in orientation. It was a really great celebration. But it wasn't the last Thanksgiving celebration just yet. But before that, let's see, a few days later, Animates screened The Cat Returns, and this is a Studio Ghibli movie. I've seen only a few of their movies. I've seen When Marnie Was There, Howl's Moving Castle, and Spirited Away. I think those are the only other ones I've seen. But The Cat Returns became my favorite out of those few. So obviously I recommend watching that. The next Thanksgiving celebration took place at my friend Danielle's place. So a couple of us from the hotel and a couple more of her friends hung out there, and we talked about stuff like Doctor Who. We had like different opinions and stuff, and it was really laid back, really fun, hanging out with good friends. And the next Thanksgiving celebration was at the hotel itself, and I brought like a bucket of fried chicken from KFC, What's kind of weird is the KFC over there didn't have mashed potatoes like I'm used to them having. They did have fries though, or I guess they call them chips over there. But yeah, it was great having everyone together in the hotel dining room. Our friend Ramsey put up a sign-up sheet to organize like who's bringing what, and it was really well put together. Really fun, great food, good wine. We also watched Elf on the TV, and it was like Elf is always a fun movie to watch around the time of the holidays. It's very like it's not too adult. It's very wholesome, and I really like it. A few of us at the hotel planned on going to Canterbury the next day. But because there was ice on the rails, the trains to Canterbury got cancelled, so we ended up taking a detour to Hastings instead, and it was still a good trip. I actually labeled the photo post on my Facebook Canterbury Tales Fine Hastings, so like canned, cannot, and almost sounds like wine tastings. I put way too much effort into titling these things. But yeah, we saw the ruins of a castle from afar, and there's a really nice park that we found, and it was a nice time just really relaxing and hanging out with friends. It was a fun trip, even if it wasn't how we intended it to happen. It was still another place, so plenty of exploration. Like 5 days later or something, I watched Back to the Future Part 3 again with Oddsock. Looks like the general consensus among the club in terms of their rankings of the movies goes 1, 3, 2, which is pretty much my ranking as well. I'm sure some people will disagree, but it was interesting seeing how our opinions aligned. And then going into December, there were a few different Christmas dinners. The first one was in the Mandela Hall on the Sussex campus. I got turkey with pigs in a blanket and veggies, so it was really good food. A couple days later, there was a Star Wars quiz at East Slope Bar, and I joined a team, and we got third place. We got 55 points out of 70. I can't remember how many questions there were, but some of the questions were pretty tough, I'll admit. And then a couple days later, watched Fox and the Hound with Animates. There are a few things that haven't really aged well, but there were still some emotional moments in that movie, I suppose. So the semester was winding down to a close. Funny thing, as I was taking the bus, and like one of my professors was there too, I think his name was Professor Sutherland. He taught a poetry module when I was there. I came to find out that he actually knows Professor Eisenberg from UC Irvine, who's another English professor I had, and he also taught like a humanities course over there. And it was funny finding out that they knew each other and even took a road trip together. So small world, I guess. The next Christmas dinner, it was like on December 7th. It was like a joint Christmas dinner at this place called Katerina between Doc Sock and Animates. So the food there was great, and said some goodbyes to some people, and yeah, like I could really feel like the end of a era coming. Like as that semester abroad was ending. When I got back to the hotel, watched Good Burger and the Iron Giant with a few friends. I can't remember if this was the same night or a different night, but we did watch Chicken Run at the hotel at some point. And the next movie that I saw abroad was Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Saw an early screening with Animates at the theater over in Brighton. I think it's called the Odeon. And I was surprised by how hilarious and how good of a sequel this was. Or I guess it's not like a direct sequel with like all the same characters, but there is a nod to the first movie with Robin Williams that I thought was a nice touch. It was really cool seeing the characters actually go into the jungle rather than the jungle coming to the real world, if that makes sense. It was a nice turn of the premise. And then the third Christmas dinner, this is actually one that I went to on my own at East Slope Bar. Like they had like this special, and I got this Christmas dinner that came with cornbread cubes, and it was really good. It was also karaoke night, so I sang the David Bowie song "As the World Falls Down" from the Jim Henson movie Labyrinth, and then I sang "The Last Goodbye," which is sung by Billy Boyd in the end credits of The Hobbit: The Battle of the Five Armies. I think I fared better on the latter song. But yeah, I guess I was really feeling it, like this feeling that this trip was going to end, and so like I just had to sing "The Last Goodbye" just to like get it out of me, you know? A couple days later, I watched the Justice League movie. It was fine, but it should have been better for the movie that it was, like, you know, a Justice League live action movie. It should have been better and made a bigger splash, but what can you do? Then the next day, I went to the Doc Sock Secret Santa, and my friend Rory gave me this Star Trek novel called Desperate Hours, as well as a nice card. And this is a really good book. It was very interesting seeing Michael Burnham interact with her brother Spock, and this was before we knew that they would be interacting with each other on Star Trek Discovery, so this is like something new at the time, and it was really cool reading that when I got the chance. So, but yeah, I said my goodbyes to the people in Doc Sock, and then I was on my way to see The Last Jedi in the theater. At the time, I wasn't sure how I felt about the movie, but it's grown on me, and I find the stuff that happens with Luke to be the stuff I enjoy the most. Like, it's a movie about admitting when you were wrong and overcoming failure, and I appreciate those aspects of it. But anyway, after the movie, I was surprised to bump into my friend Owen from Comedy Society, and yeah, Comedy Society, we had a good final meeting doing like improv stuff, but I hadn't seen Owen in a little while, so it was a great bumping into him as he came out of like another auditorium where he saw The Last Jedi. I think it was a different auditorium, but yeah, bumping into each other, talking about the movie and saying our goodbyes, and like it was great that we got the chance to do that. And then I walked to the hotel with my friend Haley, who I guess also saw a different screening of it. I watched a subtitled screening because like I bought the ticket not knowing it was subtitled, but it was still in English. So, but yeah, we talked about the movie and then got to the hotel, and the next Christmas dinner was with Oddsock, like the day before my flight, and we went to Five Ways, and I remember we had sent in our orders to our friend Gwyn, and we were supposed to pay him back, and so like I had like a lot of change, like all the coins I just like dumped in front of him, and he was like a little irritated by that, or jokingly irritated, and people were like having a laugh about it. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I said my goodbyes. I actually saw Gwen last month in August. He was in Los Angeles for a couple weeks, and I was in LA for a weekend during that duration, so we met up, we went to this Mexican place, and I guess my dog wants to join me. But yeah, we went to this Mexican place, talked about various things like Rick and Morty and prog rock. Yeah, I actually talked a bit about these Yes Asia, John Roger Moody Blues, Carl Palmer's LP Legacy. Went to that concert in July. So yeah, this is a different setting. It's like a week. Right now it's a week after all the stuff I filmed that you just saw. But yeah, so it was great catching up with Gwen, and I've kept in touch with a bunch of other people I met while studying abroad. Like before the flight, I said my hugs and goodbyes to my friends at the hotel, and I've kept in touch with them on social media, and I'm very thankful we live in the age of internet, so you can stay connected with all the people you've met from all over. And I guess that's a good takeaway from this whole experience, and it's been 2 years since that experience, so it holds true. I guess that's a great lesson. I don't even know if this whole vlog has a lesson. But yeah, I don't know. I guess bullet points, go to places, make friends, stay in touch, get inspired, get creative. And yeah, if you ever have any great travel stories, you can share them with all the people you know, and stay in touch with all the people you meet along the way. So I guess that'll be it for this Chance of Sussex blog, finally. And yeah, I'm Steven Shinder, and if you need me, you can find me on social media or check out my book stuff at stevenshinder.com, and we'll see what the future holds.